Welcome everyone to the Berks County Commissioners Weekly Update. I'm Berks County Commissioner Christian Leinbach. This afternoon we are going to be touching on three specific areas relative to COVID-19. The first area will be led by Commissioner Kevin Barnhart. He's going to be talking about the CARES Act funding as well as the COVID-19 Berks County Community Needs Assessment. After that, I'll introduce Commissioner Michael Rivera. He is going to be talking about the Small Business Grants and Grants Program and resources, as well as the Rental Assistance Program. And then finally, I will be sharing Going Green. What does it really mean? If you have questions or comments, they need to be germane to the topics being discussed. If you want to comment, please include your full name and the municipality where you reside. You are limited to one question. If you're from the media, please give your name and also the media that you represent. With that, we will move to Commissioner Kevin Barnhart.
Thank you, Commissioner Leinbach, and everyone who has joined us this afternoon. I want to re-emphasize the CARES Act funding, which will be forthcoming to the County of Berks in the not too distant future. Approximately $38 million in CARES Act money, which can be used specifically for purposes such as offsetting the cost of direct county response, planning, and outreach, similar to our Do Your Part, Stop the Spread campaign. Any sort of PPE we purchase, any plexiglass we used for customer and employee safety is able to be utilized and reimbursed by this money. Purchase of personal protective equipment in response to the pandemic for a multitude of areas I will get into. Small Business Grant Program to support businesses with fewer than 100 employees that did not receive funding through the federal PPP or the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. Grant programs to support entities for costs related to assisting businesses during the COVID-19 disaster. Assist municipalities for response and planning efforts, including purchase of PPE. Again, that really is going to fall into FEMA reimbursements, but if that's not covered, this might be your opportunity. Behavioral health and substance abuse disorder treatment services. Nonprofit assistance for 501c3s and 501c19s, which are 95% veteran operated, and broadband deployment with priority given to unserved or underserved areas. The program really so far has generated a lot of interest. We put this out last Monday as a community needs assessment. If we can call that up on the screen, we'll show how easy it is to go to the assessment. What the county has asked everyone to do in the community who falls under these categories is to go in and fill out the CARES Act assessment. Why fill out an assessment? So we really know the scope and the need in the community. We want to know how to properly allocate this $38 million, and quite honestly, we don't think it's nearly enough money. This would fall into categories such as government, education, social services, not-for-profits, public health, business, and other. We put the other in there because we've had people email us and ask, where do I fit? So we put them in there. So far, we've seen 38 responses to the needs assessment, and this will help the commissioners determine how to best allocate these funds. So as easy as going on the County of Berks website, that's on your screen, countyofberks.com. There is, you click on the home page and there is a click on access to the community needs assessment. Now I want to highlight a few things. This is not a form that you can fill out online and come back to later on. So we highly recommend that you print it out as a workbook so that when you compile your information, what you have expended thus far, COVID-related expenses from March through July, and then you'll have to estimate for the remainder of the year because our allocation will end at December 30th, 2020. So we have to account for everything spent COVID-19 related in the year 2020. There are drop downs for all these groups: government, education, social services, public health, business, and other. You will see some acronyms which may seem very confusing to you: SAMS and DUNS and CDBG and HUD and FEMA, SBA and CAPER. I've said this very generically. If you don't really know what those acronyms mean, they probably don't apply to your organization, but we have explained on the website what those acronyms stand for. And most importantly, Justin Lewis, our IT director, and myself put together a tutorial. And the easiest thing to do is actually go on, click on the tutorial. It's about 18 or 19 minutes. And we basically walk you through the assessment. So we're trying to make this as easy as possible for everybody. We want everyone who qualifies to apply. Again, we want to make sure this money is used in the most responsive manner and most respectfully to make sure it covers the organizations who are most impacted by COVID-19. It can't replace revenue. So this is not a, hey, I lost business for 3 months. I need you to write me a check because that's the business I lost. But it's for personal protective equipment. It's for thermometers. It's for any overtime or extra staff you may have had to put on in order to work on the COVID-19. You set up temperature monitoring stations and to hire people to monitor people for their temperatures. That is what that's what actually qualifies here for the grants. So we really hope that we get a lot more people to apply. We have a soft deadline of next Monday. We wanted to open it up for 2 weeks to really gauge the needs of the community. We're going to keep it open. So if you weren't able to complete it this week, we understand. What we'd like you to do, if you are in the process of completing it and have not done so, shoot us an email on communityneeds@countyofberks.com and just let us know, by the way, I'm filling this out. That's going to take me till the end of next week to fill it out. And then we'll work with our partner, Whit O'Brien, who is an expert in grants and the CARES Act funding, and really work on this effectively to get this money out as soon as humanly possible. So again, I really appreciate the opportunity to put this information out. We're here to answer any sorts of questions. My number is 610-478-6136, extension 4, or communityneeds@countyofberks.com. If you have any questions, we're getting back to people as soon as they hit that email. We're getting the answers you need and we're getting back to you. Again, my office is 610-478-6136, extension 4. Please fill out the assessment so we don't leave any stone unturned out in Berks County. Thank you, Commissioner Leinbach.
You're on mute.
I'm muted. We'll continue to do that indefinitely. But thank you very much for your comments, Commissioner Barnhart, and your work with the CARES Act and the Community Needs Assessment Tool. With that, we're going to turn to Commissioner Michael Rivera, and Commissioner Rivera is going to be talking about rental assistance and the Small Business Grant Program. Commissioner Rivera.
Yes, Commissioner Leinbach, thank you very much. These are two very important topics. One is the Small Business Restart Grant and funds available to businesses to help them restart and grow their business. And the other is the rental assistance programs as well. As many of you know, the moratorium on evictions will end this week. So it's important that you're able to share this information with family, friends, and neighbors, because the goal of this program is to keep people in their homes where they are at right now, rather than having to have them find other living arrangements. So with the Small Business Restart Grant, this is for businesses outside the city. The city had their program, and again, just to clarify, it's because of where the funds come from. That's why some funds need to be used within the city, other funds need to be used outside of the city. This program is for businesses outside of the city with 2 to 8 full-time employee equivalents required. So in other words, if you have 4 part-time or 4 half-time employees, that would be equivalent to 2 full-time employees. And one of them can be the owner, and you need at least 1 other employee that is not an owner of the business. The revenues have to be under $1 million, and also you have to show a hardship due to the COVID pandemic. So these are funds that were set aside specifically for those businesses who were hit by the COVID pandemic. Grant amounts are between $2,500 and $10,000 based on the need that you have. And what you do is when you complete the application, you put the need in there. The applications will be reviewed, and based on your application, then the organizations that is handling these, which is Neighborhood Housing Services of Greater Reading, they will determine how much will be awarded for the grant. The deadline for the application is June 17th. I want to show you here for the application, you can go to the Neighborhood Housing Services website, which is what you see right here. And you go right here, and they have up at the top, click here to apply for small business grant, small business restart grant. And they have other information on here, and you can also see it further down here as well, but they have it right at the top, which is great. So you would click on there, and then it will take you to the grant application. There are some items that you will need to submit with the grant application. So if you want to go here, look at this list of items, find these items, that way you can upload them on the application and they're reviewed there. Just so you're aware, if an application is received and these documents are not received, the application is put on hold. It will not be approved nor declined, but it will be put on hold until this information is received. So please make sure that you have all the information that you need when you're submitting the application. If you do have questions in reference to this, you can also call Neighborhood Housing Services and speak with someone live there. And if you'd also like to meet with someone to do the application rather than doing it online, they are available to do that as well. But as you go here down on their website, you'll see there's frequently asked questions, which you can review there. It'll give you different information as to what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. It'll be more detailed. Also, if you're looking at completing a paper application because you aren't technologically savvy and you would rather complete the application on a piece of paper and take all your paperwork and drop it off at Neighborhood Housing Services, you can do that as well. You would just go here to paper application instructions. You'll be able to download the application, print it out, and submit it there. And then it'll go through the instructions here on how to fill it out. Once you fill out one page, it'll take you to the next page. There's certain information that you do need to complete before you can move on to the next page. But it's very, very simple. It won't take long once you have all the information that you need in there. But you need to be able to explain why you need this money, how your business was hit, what your financial needs are, so they can make a determination as to whether you qualify, and if you do, how much you qualify for. So that's something that's very, very important. There's also a state initiative as well, which you can get at the Community First Fund website. These businesses, or this grant is geared more to historically disadvantaged businesses and also what are called Main Street type businesses or rural type businesses as well. So the qualifications for both are a little bit different. So go on, please. These are resources that are available to you as a business owner. Go onto the Neighborhood Housing Services website and get this information. If you have any questions, please feel free to call my office or directly Neighborhood Housing Services, and they'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Then moving on to the rental assistance programs. There are various programs out there. I'm not going to explain all the programs that are available out there just because there are too many details and there would be a lot of questions that you need to answer to be able to determine which one is the best for you. But there are different programs out there, and there's 2 points of contacts basically for these programs. When you call there, they'll ask you questions and they'll determine which is the best program for you. Some of these programs, such as the PHFA, which is the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency, their program landlords can apply for that. They need the information of the tenants and the signature of the tenants, but the landlords can apply directly for that program as well. So if you are a landlord or you know of a landlord that has not received rent from one or more tenants because they have been affected by COVID, this is something that the landlord can apply for. With this program specifically, you can get up to $750 per month for up to 6 months. So a total of $4,500 towards the rent for people that have been affected by COVID. If you live in the city of Reading, you can either call the Human Relations Commission at 610-655-6141, and they're available Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. That again is 610-655-6141. And you can go to the homepage of the City of Reading, which is readingpa.gov, and you'll be able to access it there. If you live outside of the city, or even if you live in the city, you can also call the Berks Coalition to End Homelessness. Their phone number is 610-372-72222. Again, 610-372-7222. And there you can also find information on their website as well. But if you call these numbers, they will be able to offer you all the help that you need, what you need to do, how you need to do it. Something that's very important is when you call them, they'll probably send you to a website to complete the application. Something that's very important is if you complete the application, again with the small business programs, if you do not submit the required information, your application will not be processed. So it's not just a matter of going on, filling out some questions. There are some things that you have to do because they need to verify that you need help with your rental because of a COVID-related incident. So please, either again, Pennsylvania Housing Finance Authority, the Berks Coalition to End Homelessness, or the Human Relations Commission if you live in the city of Reading. Please help share this information. The goal of these programs are to be able to help people that were affected by COVID-19 be able to remain in their homes rather than have them become homeless or having to look for other rental situations because they were not able to pay their bills. So if you have any questions, again, please feel free to give me a call. Commissioner Leinbach, back to you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Rivera. Very informative as always. I've been tasked with addressing the issue of going green, what it's meant so far for Berks County, and more importantly, what it does not mean. I want to start by sharing that we are seeing some serious spikes across the country and even out in southwestern Pennsylvania of not just cases, but also hospitalizations. Keep in mind, these places have been in a variation of green or open for a month or more. We've only been in green for a couple of weeks. Observations are not particularly good. We've received numerous complaints about Fairgrounds Farmers Market, the Wyomissing Farmers Market, actual calls to our 911 center, not just about patrons not wearing masks, but businesses and employees not wearing masks. We as commissioners yesterday morning were at the moving of the Epler Schoolhouse, and I'm estimating there were 70 to 100 people, fairly spread out. The commissioners all were wearing masks, but my guess is less than 2% of those people present were wearing masks. The problem is not necessarily the numbers today, but the results that we could see a month from now if we don't understand that green does not mean that everything's okay and we're out of the woods. I want to look at some headlines. These are from a Google search a short time ago. 6 hours ago, CNBC, U.S. reports record single-day spike of 60,000 new coronavirus cases. Forbes, maskless parties and crowded beaches across U.S. as coronavirus spikes over holiday weekend. CNN, California and Florida are charting different coronavirus paths as cases spike. Washington Post, 7 states report highest coronavirus hospitalizations since pandemic began. Some more on hospitalizations, because some people have said to me, come on, Christian, sure the cases are going to spike, but people are going to get sick, going to get flu-like symptoms, no big deal. That's not the case. NorthNewJersey.com, coronavirus 2.0, New Jersey hospitals prepare for second surge. The Hill out of DC, 56 Florida hospitals report ICUs at capacity as virus surges. This is from 6 hours ago. Washington Post, Dr. Berks says U.S. underestimated community spread of coronavirus spurred by young people. And then U.S. News, U.S. coronavirus cases near 3 million as hospitals in Sun, and it goes further with their headline. We need to be aware. Going green doesn't mean we're out of the woods, doesn't mean we're wide open, does not mean that COVID-19 is not a threat. I want to also reference a early warning monitoring system dashboard. This was created by the Pennsylvania Department of Health. Anyone can go onto this dashboard, and I'm going to drag this down and send this, if I can. Nope, I have to move. Well, we'll send that later. I'll post that link up in case somebody doesn't have the link. But what this shows is that in Pennsylvania, a number of the key indicators are going the wrong direction. Newly reported confirmed cases, incident rate per 100,000, PCR, that's the percentage of people that are testing positive, is going up. So those first 3 indicators are going the wrong direction. The next 2 are going the right direction, hospitalizations and ventilators. But then the last one, ER, is going up. When you go to this, you can also select by county, and we'll take a look at Berks County. I would encourage you, when you go to this site, look at the date that it was last updated. This was last updated on July the 3rd. And at that point, all of the indicators for Berks were going down. It will be interesting to see where those indicators are when it's next updated. But what do we need to do? There are 3 things that we are going to continue to promote. One of them is a newer focus. Under green, telework is strongly recommended by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. As a county, we are encouraging any of our departments where people are teleworking effectively to continue to telework. We would encourage businesses where telework actually is effective in your business to continue to do that. The fewer people you bring into your building, the fewer people we bring into our building, the easier it will be to control the spread of COVID-19. Secondly, we are strongly urging that people follow the governor's directive. We understand the idea of liberty and freedom. And so what we're trying to do is to give you information that masks do work. I know there's a lot of confusion out there. Early on, we were told don't wear masks. Well, masks work. They are effective. I want to provide some sites. This is from the University of California, San Francisco. Still confused about masks? Here's the science behind how face masks prevent the coronavirus. CDC has an entire section of their website dedicated to the use of cloth face coverings that help slow the spread of COVID-19. And then Stanford University, Stanford Medicine actually, has 5 questions that were asked of Stanford scientists on COVID-19 mask guidelines. Again, when we're done, I will post these websites up so you have access to them and you can read the information for yourself. But masks do effectively limit the spread of COVID-19 from me to the people around me. And if the people around me are wearing masks, it protects, their masks protect me. The third area is social distancing. Just because somebody has a mask on and the person they're next to has a mask doesn't mean you don't need to social distance. Both are extremely important, social distancing and masking. One final resource, doyourpartberks.com. If you go up and you click on the resource section, there are resources here for businesses and individuals. There's a link to the community needs assessment that Commissioner Barnhart talked about. There's a link to information on the Small Business Restart grant program that Commissioner Rivera discussed. And then there are links to key resources for business. CDC, OSHA, U.S. Chamber, Highmark has an employer workplace toolkit, Pennsylvania Department of Health. Where possible, we've made links available in both Spanish and English. We also have CDC guidelines for gatherings and going out in public. Whether you may be planning a family event or a business or a community, here are guidelines from CDC. And then we also have personal guidelines for doing your part, dealing with symptoms and other details. So I want to encourage everyone listening to our program today to please do your part. Understand that we are not out of the woods. The last thing any of us as commissioners want to see are people being hospitalized and worse yet, people dying from COVID-19 here in Berks. It's preventable. Let's do what we can do to make a difference to limit the spread. With that, I will open it up to any questions. I saw that Karen Shuey from the Reading Eagle had asked a question about how things are going in Berks, and I think we're waiting for the report card. The report card is going to be what happens relative to growth in cases, what happens relative to hospitalizations, but there are reasons to be concerned based on what we've observed and the information that has been given to commissioners and received by our Department of Emergency Services about businesses and individuals not taking the basic precautions, masking, social distancing, etc. Do any of my colleagues want to add anything on your observations or concerns that you may have relative to how Berks County is handling the green phase? Commissioner Rivera.
Thank you, Commissioner Leinbach. Something that it's important is we need to remember that, like you said, we're in the green phase, but we're not out of this yet. Unfortunately, I've gone to a few businesses this week and last week that the employees did not have masks on. I would say maybe 50 to 60% of the people that were in there did not have masks on, and I basically told my wife we're not coming back to this business anymore, just because, you know, that business is really not helping the county out or helping its employees or the residents either. So it's important that we all do our part, starting from the business owners to the people that go to these businesses. One thing that's important to understand is that although the businesses have reopened, if people do not feel comfortable going to the businesses, going out to eat, going into a specific store, it's not going to help them out. So we need to make sure that we're all doing our part so that everyone feels comfortable saying, you know what, I'm going to such and such a restaurant, but I see the cooks have their mask on, I see the waiters have their mask on, I see everyone is following the guidelines so that I can feel safe in there. But if people don't feel safe, no matter how open you are or what you offer, people are not going to go because people understand that we're still not out of this and that we need to do our part to be able to keep on lessening the amount of positive cases. So please, everyone, I urge you to do your part. I know I've been out there on hot days with a mask on. It's not fun. It's not comfortable, but it's something we need to do until we're able to get through this. So thank you for your help.
So even though we went into green a few weeks ago, my wife and I have still been following the same protocol since we did the middle of March, other than we stopped for dinner at one of our local eating establishments that Friday. We were on the porch, socially distanced from everyone else in the restaurant. We had our masks on until we sat down. I think that's a good thing to do. But what disturbs me is watching the news and even locally, the false sense of security with the young people from teens to the mid-20s thinking, hey, I can get this virus and shrug it off. I would challenge you, you might be able to do that, but you're infecting 10, 15, 20 other people in the process. And I want to make this personal. I haven't seen my father since the middle of March. He's at an assisted living center. I saw him once the day after Father's Day in his wheelchair, 20 feet apart from my car to his wheelchair. I would like people to understand that this impacts not just you personally, it impacts the greater community. So think about the community when you're going out doing foolish things, because you're going to spread this virus and it's going to be longer and longer and longer till we're able to get back to some semblance of normalcy. So it impacts all of us individually. Some people seem to think, you know, it's not going to bother me, but think about your friends, your neighbors, your family, and how it has and will continue to impact them. And these are trying times, and we were hoping back in March, you know, it wouldn't last very long, but it seems to be extended out, and it's going to be here for the foreseeable future. And we have to understand that. And I'm glad we went to green because things have loosened up a little bit. So we're out a little bit more. I'm out trying to get as much exercise as possible, but I'm very cautious. Commissioner Leinbach's point, I was at the majority of the Epler Schoolhouse move. And I got to tell you, it is a struggle being out there in very humid weather with a mask on, but I don't want to be the one giving it to someone else. I'm not that kind of person. If I feel that way, then I don't feel that way properly toward my fellow man. So thank you for the opportunity to explain that on a personal level.
We do have a question from Irene Snyder from WFMZ. If case numbers spike in Berks, are you concerned at any point about potentially having to revert back to the yellow zone? Irene, that is always a possibility. I don't think anyone wants to do that. Frankly, in discussions with the governor through our County Commissioners Association, I don't think the governor wants to put a county back into yellow or red. The reality is, all you need to do is look at what's happening in some other parts of the country right now. I just read a headline from Florida where they have a large number of hospitals that are just about at ICU capacity. The reality is we don't want to get there. And our message is very clear. We want Berks County businesses and Berks County individuals to take it on themselves to do the right thing, to do their part. Our message early on was do your part to stop the spread. And we as commissioners aren't taking credit, but I will tell you, from the point we launched that campaign in mid-April, we saw a consistent decline in all of the metrics relative to COVID. And we continue to be in a good place, but we can't let up. We can't stop. Commissioner Barnhart, and feel free if you want to mention where you went, but my wife and I did the same thing. On the first Friday, we went out to eat, and we went to 1787 in Hamburg. The Gerners own that. I know that they have been struggling mightily, as many restaurants have, and they did a great job. All of the wait staff were masked. Jim was masked. We were socially distanced from other people. But there's another issue. I heard this week from Ryan Redner, very frustrated that he and their number of grocery stores that have done the right thing, they're masking their employees, they put up the plexiglass in the checkout areas, they're doing extra cleaning, they're requiring social distancing. But he's frustrated that there are other businesses, and I'm going to be blunt, Fairgrounds Farmers Market and Wyomissing Farmers Market, we have received so many complaints about these entities. And he said, Christian, we're doing our part, and yet there are these other entities out there that are a disaster. And the answer is we each as individuals need to do what is right. And that means not going to a place for our own protection that isn't following the rules. Now, again, they have that choice. The district attorneys made it very clear that they are not going to take law enforcement assets to start charging folks not wearing masks. And I understand that. We're asking people to voluntarily do the right thing. We don't want Berks County to go back. And we don't want people to be hospitalized, or worse yet, to die because I didn't wear a mask. So hopefully, Irene, that answers your question. Is it possible? If things get bad enough, anything is possible.
So just a shout out to the Railroad House in Sinking Spring, Jimmy G's cheesesteak. There you go.
Yeah. As a rule, I don't want to call out the bad actors. I specifically chose the two farmers markets because we've heard from our Department of Emergency Services that they have received multiple calls on those two in particular. But we do want to highlight the businesses that are doing a great job. Ace Hardware, I saw another post about them, the Sinking Spring, the one that Commissioner Barnhart goes to. What a great job they continue to do. And that's what we need.
You know what's scary about the farmers markets in particular? The demographic of the shoppers are the over 65 crowd. So that's the one that, you know,
it is.
That puzzles me and concerns me at the same time, that people would be willing to risk themselves going into farmers market without even donning a mask to theoretically get their fresh meat and produce and then get sick over it.
Right, absolutely. So while we're doing this, I'm going to quickly put up these other links that I promised I would send. Let me make an announcement here. Just give me a second. It's hard for me to talk and do this at the same time. There's the one on how face masks help. Posting the one from the CDC on the value of cloth face masks. posting the link to the Stanford scientists. And I know everybody knows the do your part, but going to end with the do your part, Berks.com website. That's really all we have. We have no other questions. Commissioner Rivera, any closing comments?
Just thank you for being here. And again, please help share the information on the Small Business Restart Grant. It's very important that we get that money to the businesses that need it. We don't want to see businesses closing because they were unaware of the resources that are available out there for them. Also, please share the information on the rental assistance program. We don't want to see people out there becoming homeless, families becoming homeless because they're unaware of the help that exists out there as well. So please help get this information out. And again, let's all do our part so we can not only stay in green, but that we can continue to move forward, that we can protect the elderly and those that have underlying medical conditions. And by doing that, we're also helping our businesses grow, because as people start feeling more comfortable, they'll start going out more and they'll start using more of the businesses. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Barnhart, any closing comments?
Just as a reminder, organizations out there in the community, we need your community needs assessment filled out. Again, the soft deadline is Monday, but we're going to extend that out. We want to hear from you and the struggles and the impact COVID-19 has had for you and your organization. We're here to help. Thank you.
My closing comments, 2 shout outs. First of all, a continued appreciation to our IS department. They make these Microsoft Teams live programs possible. Really appreciate everyone's help with that. And then a shout out to my colleagues. This has not been an easy effort for us over the last number of months. And I want my colleagues to know that I consider myself blessed to be able to work with 2 commissioners that don't care about the politics one iota. They care about doing what they believe is right. And together, I think we've been able to do the best job possible for Berks County. And I'm confident we'll continue to do that going forward. So Commissioner Rivera, Commissioner Barnhart, thank you for your leadership. And with that, I want to thank those of you that joined us. And wait a minute, there is a question. And so I'm going to jump in. It just popped up. This is from Facebook. So Michael, we'll give you the closing word in answering a question from Jess Royer, Spring Township. Commissioner Rivera, you mentioned that landlords who haven't been receiving rent payments may be able to recover a portion of the amount they're owed up to a certain amount per month. If the landlord is approved for that, does that disbursement extend to the tenants?
So basically, and hopefully I'm understanding the question correctly, Jesse, if the tenant hasn't paid, the tenant can either initiate the request or the landlord can. That money goes directly to the landlord for the payment. It does not go to the tenant, but it does say that basically, let's say the tenant owes 6 months and the landlord is paid for those 6 months, then the landlord must keep that tenant in the property and cannot evict them unless, of course, they continue to fall behind on the rent later in the future. But the landlord will accept that on behalf of the tenant for full payment as to what they're owed. So hopefully that answered your question. If not, I know we have a call set up tomorrow. We can discuss it further tomorrow.
Very good. And with that, you had the last word, Commissioner Rivera. Thank you for everyone joining us. And hopefully you'll join us tomorrow at 10 a.m. for our Commissioners' weekly meeting. Thank you.